Hey guys, Izzy here, back with another video, and today we're actually going to be talking about Deathstream 163, which was about 2 days ago as the time of I'm recording this. I was going to record this, well actually 2 days? I'm not sure. I believe so. Yes, I was going to record this much sooner, but unfortunately, due to some circumstances, IRL stuff, I wasn't able to do so, but I finally sat down and, uh, started recording about it. And probably 3 days from now, as at the time of me uploading this, more than likely, is when it passed. But regardless, I just wanted to talk about a few things in Deathstream 163 because this Deathstream was probably one of the longest. It was about 2 hours long, so it had a lot of content to go through. But I do want to talk about very specific things that I found were very interesting to talk about, pretty much, and what I think is going to impact Warframe a lot, not just for beginners, but also for veteran players or casuals. This is going to be something very interesting. Um, Now they are going to be reworking, and I guess you could say this is more so quality of life changes, as the image implies. Um, they are going to be changing some other things from the Warframe starters, like Mag, Excalibur, and Volt. And the changes were addressed in the Deathstream. As you guys can see, Excalibur isn't really receiving too much. Mainly, what they are going to be changing from Excalibur, and not changing per se, but more so adding. Like, they are going to be adding more speed to the dash from his first ability, slash dash. And it says here, it now has the ability to cancel by jumping, which is great because sometimes there were instances where I used slash dash and it kind of got stuck in the animation because the enemy maybe was a level above, in terms of like terrain, and so it just got stuck there for a moment until it kind of just stopped. It's also going to have a slash proc, which is nice. It's always nice when you get some additional damage, so that's pretty cool. They are going to be reworking Radial Javelin. They're going to give it a much polished animation, as it states right here, and of course it's now going to target more closer to the chest, because usually it would target pretty much any part of the body of the enemies, and sometimes it could be very non-lethal places or just pretty much do nothing, honestly. And they are going to be removing the cap, which is great, because I really don't understand why the cap was even there to begin with. It was kind of dumb to even have it. And as for Bolt, Bolt is receiving a couple of really good changes. They are going to be this isn't really that big of a deal. Chalk, which is the first abilities, now getting less energy taken out, change the ability range to a maximum across all ranks, which is nice. But this one's not really that much important, of importance at least. The speed buff is really good though, because it's a slight increase to both the speed buff and the duration, which is really nice. And of course, the duration is now unified across all ranks, which is pretty nice. It's now a little bit more consistent. And any increase that you get from the speed that you get by default is always really nice. This is probably going to be really good for like beginner players that are choosing Bolt. They're probably going to have a lot more fun with Bolt now. It might not be that much of an increase, but it's probably going to be noticeable. The shield now, of course, removed a lot of the restrictions, because honestly I don't understand why the restrictions when you picked up the shield, because this is mainly when you're carrying the shield, not the shield itself. But whenever you were carrying the shield, you had speed reduction, energy drain, and you could only use your secondary weapon, because that was kind of dumb. I always thought that using just your secondary weapon whenever you're carrying the shield was kind of dumb, though it kind of made sense in a way that, whenever you're carrying something in Warframe, you're only able to use your secondary weapon. But since you're not really occupying your hands, because this thing is just literally floating in front of you while you're carrying it just really made no sense for you not to be able to use your primary weapon. And that's probably going to be really good, because now you're going to be able to use Bolt for, say for example, like exterminates, where you just get your shield out, carry it, and just blast everything around you using your speed and shit. So that's pretty good. This discharge change was change stability range to be maximum across all ranks. So this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, how they explained it was that the range is now not going to increase per rank. It's going to be the maximum amount that it could be at a default range, or at a default a mod setup, I guess you could say. So if it's 50 meters as a maximum, then in rank 0, it's going to still be 50 meters. So it's going to be pretty much like a static thing, but you know, it increases with mods. But across all ranks, it's just going to be the same now. One of the bigger changes, though, is Mag. Mag did receive now basically a little vortex where whenever she used her pull, so that way whenever you use a pull, instead of enemies, you know, just flying past by you, now of course they go towards the vortex that you created with the pull, which is really nice because it pulls everything pretty much towards you now. It just doesn't, you know, sling them by and just have them ragdoll the fuck out of your the area that you were initially trying to have them. It was kind of funny though, honestly. It was kind of funny and kind of fun to use, but this is much better, and they're going to, of course, tweak the helmet version, as they said right there. The magnetize is now going to have the shards pulled into the magnetized bubble, the polarize the shards. So whatever you, I'm not sure if you guys have ever used, well, those of you that have never used Mag before, whenever you use polarize, there were some shards that were generating. They were usually always on the floor, and they kind of looked like drops, I guess you could say. And now, basically, whenever you use magnetize, those shards specifically, whether they're on you or on the floor, they are going to go towards the magnetized bubble to do damage. So basically, that's kind of like projectiles going towards the bubble to just circle around. They did do a showcase, and I'll show it in the video below. But they are also going to orbit Mag, as I mentioned. They're going to orbit, and they're pretty much going to act like the first ability for Nova. So Nova's balls, where they're orbiting around her, and whenever an enemy gets towards you, the ball pretty much attacks them. Then charts are pretty much going to do the exact same thing. They didn't mention anything about having damage reduction with them. I'm not sure if that's what they do. I don't think so, not to my knowledge. But if that's something that they add, that'll probably be something pretty cool. And of course, the polarize, where it mentions here, they are now going to be much larger. So this is more so a visual thing. It's not going to be much of a change to the damage they do. It's just going to be something more visual, because previously a lot of people didn't even know that these things could be picked up, and a lot of people also just didn't, you know, pay attention to them because they were just really small. Now they're going to be much larger, as you can see in video here. It's going to be muted, but as you guys can see, it had that vortex, which is pretty nice. That way they get pulled into that instead of just, you know, ragdolling past by you. Let's see if they show off here the I'm not sure if they show off here the other abilities. Oh, there it is. As you can see, the charge are much bigger, and they orbit around the magnetized bubble. Of course, as Pablo mentioned, those guys are already dead, so they're not gonna be taking any more damage than they already took. But it's a good visual example of what those changes are going to be. They did also announce some other changes for other Warframes, like the Celestial Twin for Wukong. This is not really that big of a deal, in my opinion, and this kind of has to do with another thing that we're going to be talking about, which was the ammo and armor changes. Basically, no armor changes for Wukong, of course, but they are changing the ammo for the Celestial Twin now. Of course, whenever a Wukong is using a Celestial Twin, let's say is using something like the Kuba Bramo, like in the video suggests, they are going to be taking ammo from your primary pool. So they are now going to be sharing the ammo that you have for that weapon. If they do happen to run out, then you'll have to go ahead and run around and just pick out the little ammo thingies. And that's one thing that we want to talk about today, because ammo is one of the big things that they're changing in this update. I believe they talk about it a little bit lower over here, actually. Sorry, it's just that this Deathstream was so big that it's it kind of has all the information kind of scattered around. But here it is. So as you can see, we understand the power of fantasy of these weapons and blah 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 blah. Basically, ammo drop rates have been halved, but the amount of ammo that you receive from them has been doubled. This means that the weapons and high ammo maximum will remain mostly unaffected, but those with smaller ammo pools, like the Cuban Brahma, which usually has about, I believe, 5 to 6 arrows, and that's pretty much all it has. But they did change. Aside from this change, this is one of the biggest changes. Basically, they changed it from it being, just pistol, rifle, shotgun, sniper, bow, and heavy ammo, which heavy ammo is just for, of course, the Archons. That, you can kind of leave that aside. That's not changing at all. But basically, they took away rifle, shotgun, and sniper, bow to change them to just primary. That way, instead of categorizing them, and whenever you kill an enemy and you have a shotgun, but all the ammo that was dropped was mainly rifle and bow, and now doesn't really affect you at all. It's now primary, and if it drops in primary, you just take that. Of course, it's kind of a small nerf to weapons like the Kuba Brahma, but also like mods as the ammo mutations. But that's not really gonna be too significant for ammo mutation users, because you still are mutating secondary ammo, which is, still ammo that you could take. I'm not sure if this will also affect, if it affected previously heavy ammo, but if it does, that's still an option. It's good. Like I said, they are going to be giving out more ammo, so that's really nice. But like I mentioned, for Wukong or any Warframe that has similar abilities, they are probably going to have the same treatment. So their clones are, just going to now take ammo from your primary pool, which is, it is what it is. It makes sense. It kind of was kind of crazy how in this video, as mentioned or as shown here, that your celestial twin is just going absolutely bonkers with a Cuba Brahma and not having the hindrance of, running out of ammo or having to run around and get ammo. Now you have to do it for it. So yeah, I believe that's pretty interesting, and a good way of kind of looking at the AoE problem, but not that much, because there's still I believe much to kind of work on, when it comes to looking into or addressing the problem with AoE weapons being kind of automated. But they are looking into it, and they're looking for ways to fix it. And I think the ammo changes could be to kind of like the right steps, I guess you could say. But anyways, they did also rework the ammo or armor. My apologies. The armor was somewhere around here. Here it is. So now they're changing they're changing all abilities that strip away armor. I believe they didn't show anything in regards to this, but they did mention it briefly in the Deathstream, where, for example, as it says right here, if you use a 50% armor strip ability against a foe with 100 armor twice, you'd reduce their pool for up down to 50 armor, and then the second cast would strip them down to 25, because it's basically, instead of taking away the remaining 50%, it's taking away 50% of what's remaining in their armor, which is 50, so it's 25. Now it's going to work differently, and now instead of doing that, basically what it's going to do is the first ability takes away 50% armor, then the second ability takes away the remaining 50%. So they're reworking every single ability that it's in the game with armor stripping ability, so it kind of reflects this type of change. Not meaning that all of the abilities are going to be 50%, but if they were 25%, then to work as intended as the 50% would. So That's honestly a really good change in my opinion. It'll make it so that harder content, I guess, for casuals and like anyone else really, like even veteran players, have a much easier time taking down enemies that are heavily armored. So that's really nice. Now, the Deathstream did go over a lot of information. Raven system changes were one of them. This is one of the biggest things. This is really cool. Basically, you get a Veiled Riven mod, and it doesn't take up from your total pool of ribbons until you actually equip it on one of your weapons. So that's actually really nice. And they did mention that they are doing an overhaul to the augments. This is basically either part 2 or part 4. I don't remember what part they were even on. Yeah, part 2. Warframe augments are going to get a buff, but they haven't specifically stated what they are going to be. But they are currently working on them. They'll be working on, I believe it was from Loki players to Rhino players, so L to R. Yeah. So right here, from L to R, Loki fans, Rhino fans, rejoice, which is cool. But they did talk about a lot of changes here. Like, they did talk about the main changes. Oh, and they are also going to be increasing the holster speed for your weapons. This is so that the changes that they're implementing to the ammo is basically say for example you run out of primary ammo and you haven't had an ammo drop in a bit, then switching to your primary is going to be a lot or secondary is going to be a lot faster, and then switching back to your primary is going to be a lot faster, as demonstrated in this clip here. It's pretty significant in my opinion. As you can see, like, this side starts shooting so much faster, and this guy's just for some reason standing there. But yeah, that's a pretty good change, honestly. And of course, they did talk about the new Warframe. The new Warframe looks absolutely amazing. I'm gonna show the abilities in just a second. But they also showed the amazing Protea skin. This skin looks absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. Like, this looks so good. Like, the fabric here, it's a feathery fabric, I believe they mentioned it was. It looks absolutely amazing, and colored, it just looks so good, so good, so good. They also did show off the Nova Void Shell skin, which looks really nice. I'm definitely gonna get my hands on this because you guys know I absolutely love Nova a lot. So anything Nova related, I'll probably get it and try it myself. They did add one of the biggest things that they did add. Now, we're not going to be talking about like the additions that they're going to be adding with Veilbreaker. They're going to be adding Steel Path relics, which means that they're not specifically relics for Steel Path, but instead Void fissures are not going to be something that you'll be able to do in Steel Path. So if you're going to do a Lith relic, you'll be able to do it in a Steel Path setting, and you're going to be able to get Steel Path Essence. I'm not sure exactly what else you might be able to get. They pretty much mentioned that you'll be able to get everything from a Steel Path mission, what you would get from a normal Steel Path mission, and also from, you know, the Void Fissure. So that's really nice. And also they are adding a new weekly, which I believe is down up here or down here. I'm not sure. But let me show you guys like the abilities for the new Warframe. This is the first ability, which is basically like throwing a it throws like a javelin and it holds it, which is pretty nice. And then we have this one, which I can't even remember what it was. I think it threw several, yes, it basically like several of them in a area around you, basically, which is kind of cool. And then like ability 3, which I'm not exactly sure what this one does actually. Let's see. Draw enemy attention to Styanax. His resolve uplifts nearby allies, regenerating their energy and shields. Oh, that's pretty dope. So basically, it's like grabbing aggro and just, you know, being supportive with energy and shield. That's pretty dope. I didn't even read that before. I just thought he looked shiny. But then you have the ultimate ability, or the fourth ability, which basically is Stanax going absolutely fucking ape shit and just blasting a shitload of fucking javelins. It's kind of funny, like all of his abilities are revolving kind of like javelins, but that one itself, that looks so, dude, that looks so fucking cool. You cannot tell me that does not look cool. That looks absolutely fucking. I loved it. That looked real cool. Um, yeah, but I love the design. The Warframe itself looks absolutely amazing. The new weapon that it's gonna come with, it looks really cool. I'm hoping to see more of it. But here's the new system, and basically this is the new weekly that they're adding. Aside from, you know, Steel Path, Void Fishers, they're going to be adding basically what people in chat were calling Swordy 2.0. But this is going to be a weekly mission, and they are going to be a lot harder according to Pablo. They are doable alone, but it is more highly suggested, I guess you could say, to use or have a teammates, you know, and it makes sense, you know, because of course, at least as for the difficulty in this, it's probably going to require a lot of teamwork, especially because of the respawn restriction. I'm not sure if these restrictions per se are going to change per week. I don't think so, but basically how this works, it's not going to be like it works kind of like Swordies mixed in with Steel Path and mixed in with Arbitration, where in this scenario, as you can see, it has no respawns like when Arbitrations were first introduced, but it's gonna work differently, because instead of like instead of it being like, oh, you died, it's like you go down and you have a bleed out timer like you normally would in a normal mission, but if your allies don't actually revive you, you actually die and you cannot respawn, which is probably gonna suck a little bit. I know a lot of people hated that from Arbitrations. I honestly didn't mind it, because I mean, if you know what you're getting yourself into, you're probably gonna try to come prepared. You're not gonna bring a Warframe that's just gonna get blasted. But I also understand that a lot of people just want to use their preferred Warframes, and so this is a cool restriction in my opinion. Instead of it just you just dying straight up, you will now have a bleed out, and they'll have to revive you. So it'll encourage more team play. It'll encourage people to stick around with the squad a lot more. And yeah, and then the consumables, you can't use any consumables at all, so that's that's out there. But like Arbitrations, as you guys can see, you're gonna be able to get bonuses with the either Warframe or weapons that you use, so that's really good. It'll encourage more people to use other Warframes. I'm not sure if this is going to be different for every mission, or if it's going to be for just the weekly in general, or if it's going to change per day in the weekly setting. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, but basically, this reward table, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be, I believe it's a placeholder. They did not address it, so I honestly do believe that this is probably just going to be like a placeholder, but the biggest thing is that they are going to be a guaranteed providing you with an Azure Archon Chart. Now, basically, before I get into like what the shards are going to be, everything here, like I said, I believe the hardest difficulty is gonna be like I think they show it on here, yeah, oh fuck, stop, okay, the hardest difficulty is gonna be the up to like level 150, probably more, but all of this is going to lead to a showdown to the specific Archon that you're fighting in that weekly. I think this adds a new layer of like weekly, aside from like adding just a new weekly, which is I think always welcomed. It adds more depth into like what the new war ended up being, like the aftermath, and also it's like a really good, it's a really cool thing, because it leads up to an Archon battle that in the quest was pretty underwhelming, but here it'll more than likely be actually challenging. And it'll require probably like teamwork and shit. So I think this is gonna be really cool. And as for the Archon Chart, which is probably worth the effort of its own. We're basically going to get like a shard that works as a I guess the best way that I could describe it is it's kind of like artifacts that you provide to your Warframe. They don't take up a mod slot. They don't take up a arcane slot. They have their own space as you can see here. They're going to show it a little bit more here, as you can see. See right here, they have several plates where you place the Archon Chart on your Warframe, and you're going to be able to remove them at any point and not have them, disappear. Like when you use a lens. Whenever you use the lens and you remove it from a Warframe, it just takes it away. In this case, it's not going to do that. So I think that's pretty cool. And these are going to be nice additions to your Warframe specific, like in the Warframe that you want to use this. Of course, it's going to be a while before everyone is able to have their Warframes fully packed, because this is something that you're going to be able to get through the weeklies. I believe they did mention that you're going to be able to get this elsewhere in some sort of weekly missions that they're going to have. As you guys can see, yeah, players will have 5 Archon Shards per Warframe to install, play around with. I've seen that mainly these things are like health, shield, energy, like it says here, armor, and health regeneration. I did not see any that would provide you with power strength. But if there is one, that's going to be really, really nice. But even then, these specifically are so good to have. Like, how would having more health, shields, or energy, or even having health regeneration be a bad thing, right? Like, there's just no way that it's a bad thing. And it was just a cool addition. I think that in it of itself is worth doing the weekly missions. It'll probably get old the longer they're around. So yeah, definitely a rework to probably that, what I'm hoping to be a placeholder pool of rewards gets reworked into having, much better rewards themselves. But the shards in and of itself, really good additions, and I think that, it's like I said, it's gonna add a new layer to what we already discussed about weekly missions and the aftermath of the new war. And of course, aside from that weekly mission, they did mention that we're going to have another weekly mission for Cal, which is going to be our protagonist for a Veilbreaker quest. This itself, they only mentioned that it's coming on September. They didn't say a specific date, so probably next month. I'm assuming that mid next month is when it's coming around. Though they did show off a lot of things, so I'm pretty sure it's almost pretty completed. Pretty much completed, yeah. This is gonna bring a new syndicate, and it's going to bring weekly missions. This is gonna kind of work like the clan weekly missions, but it's gonna be much different. They didn't go too much into detail as to how the missions are going to be, but they did show off a little bit of the quest itself. And yeah, you're going to be able to, customize your Kyle into being like Snake from Metal Gear, so that's really cool. And they showed off, of course, the animated trailer. I just wanted to briefly talk about like the main things that I mentioned, the things that we did go in depth into this, because I do think that's going to increase not only like the quality of content that they're providing in the game, like post New War, but it's also going to just give content that players look forward to doing, content that players might eventually look forward to playing with other players, and I think that's always a plus. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. If I did miss out on anything, I'll make another video in regards to it. I just didn't want to make this video extremely long. It's already a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope I see you guys on the next one. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch if you guys want to go ahead and catch me live. I will be starting to stream soon, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.